It has gone on 9 o'clock. Atamarie and buongiorno and ni hao. This is officially the Chinese Language Week. So welcome councillors for being here and taking the time, and we've got the councillors online as well, which is great to see. And members of the public, it's also great to see you here too. As we do, we start out with our just a quick prayer and just to guide us along the way. So if you'd like to, you can bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for today. Thank you, Lord, for the guidance that you're going to give us as we go through. Lord, always make sure that our community is at the heart of our decisions and that the decisions are made with your love and your guidance. In your most precious and loving name, amen. Councillors, so as normally, if there's any declarations of interest, please make them known as we go along. We have an apologies at the present moment from Councillor Olsen. Do I have a seconder for that? Any one of those three? Councillor Reid was first. Look at that. All those in favour? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, councillors. And just also note that we have Councillor Golightly, Councillor Connop and Councillor Benny online. And we've also got, I have been informed that Councillor Cooper will be disappearing at about 9:30 for about 30 minutes to another meeting he's got to attend to. Just a quick changes in our agenda, just so you're well aware. The police are not able to come in today. They are looking after the Kaipara area today, so they will be not coming in. They'll be postponed until next month for their report. So we'll move straight into the public forum, and at the moment we've got Samantha Jones. Samantha, you've got 5 minutes. This is a time for you to have your say. This is not a time to criticise staff or councillors or even to ask questions of them, but it's for you to have your say. Now, the button to press is on the right-hand side. I know it's got a little symbol on it, just so you know. The big thing is what we want you to do is just to relax and speak, and you'll be fine. At the end of it, we'll give the opportunity for councillors to ask questions. So we do encourage you to keep to the 5 minutes, though. It's all over to you.
Good morning, my name's Samantha Jones. I live at Vinegar Hill Road. We've lived there for approximately 23, 24 years. We've been dealing with a neighbour which is a rented property. He's running a commercial business. He has multiple employees, trucks, diggers, machinery. We're zoned as large lot residential sort of thing. This has been going on for approximately 2 years. We've made multiple complaints to the council in order to try and get this issue resolved. We've dealt with the RMA team and we've had no luck whatsoever. We've put in, because under the large lot residential there are different zones, sort of the things you can do. You have like commercial, service, general industry, manufacturing, and a lot of these are non-permitted. The council are going off what they call large lot residential R13, which is commercial services, but they're on there's an R38, which is general commercial, which is not permitted, sort of thing. So we've had the RMA team come out. They did some site visits. They've spoken to the owner of the business. He's told them that there's himself and 3 employees, which under the large lot R13 is a breach of this. They told him he may need resource consent, but in section H, I think it says you can have 1 primary operator and 2 employees. But we've had up to 5 employees. We get the trucks at 2 a.m, 3 a.m, 4 a.m. We get the beeping of the trucks. We get the unloading, the loading. We get other contractors come onto site with concrete pipe pumps. One of the, I think it's the R28 under the large lot residential is a storage thing, which is a non-comply. The yard now looks like a builder's yard. We have drainage pipe, coils, timber poles, bricks, which he's bringing in to then load onto his trucks and take off to jobs that he's doing. So this is a non-comply, but the council haven't acknowledged this at all. They've just gone off the R13, which is what they commercial as commercial service. But if you look at that, that is like hairdressers, banks, accountants, travel agents, which this guy doesn't come into. I mean, he's got trucks, diggers, employees, you know, at all hours, 24/7, 7 days a week, public holidays. We've had Christmas Day, we had Anzac Day. When we met with the RMA team, they told us to fill out some paperwork, but we went one step further. We've got videos, we've got photos which are timed and dated. 140. We've got 100, they're on 2 USB sticks which we gave to the council, which I have here, which got 100 plus videos which are timed and dated of breaches of the RMA and the Whangarei District Council's own E-plan sort of thing. But we've applied for meetings to meet with the Mayor and the CEO. No, firewalled is what we go to. Go and talk to a lawyer, go to the Ombudsman, that's all we're getting. I mean, we can't afford a lawyer, so we're asking the council for help. You know, it's a residential area, it's not a commercial area. You know, this is 24/7 that we've got, 365 days a year. You know, it's our home. We own our home. This guy's renting, you know. But we're just getting the brick wall. You know, we're just asking for help. That's all we want, is the council to help. We've had Councillor Gavin Benny come out to our property. He's seen what's going on. He agrees with us. He's been very, very helpful, sort of thing. That's all we're asking is the council to help, you know. So, I mean, there's numerous breaches, but the council have sent us a letter saying that this is the case outcome. I've got it here in writing. They haven't acknowledged any of the other breaches, like the manufacturing, the storage, the general commercial, the repairs and maintenance. That's all on the council's E-plan. This is, you know, it's non-comply, non-comply, non-comply. Why can this guy get away with what he's doing? We welcome anybody to come out, have a visit, you know, at any time. You know, we're just asking for help. Other neighbours are fed up with it. You know, so, but we're just getting boom from the council. So.
Samantha, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for making that. I know it's Hartfield, and I know that you're experiencing a lot of issues there, and I appreciate that. The team will be back in touch with you. Councillors, is there any questions at all for Samantha? There's no questions. But Samantha, I do want to say again, oh yes there is. Councillor Harding, you've got a question.
Kia ora, Samantha. Thank you both for coming in, and thank you both for sharing your journey. It's very heartfelt. Can I just check, did you say that the people are renting?
They are renting.
They're renting the property?
Yeah.
And it's just a property that's just on the market kind of thing? You don't know who owns that property?
We know who the owner is.
Oh, Kapai.
He lives in Auckland.
All right.
So.
Thank you so much for that.
And in the last Sunday, they had a second business start up there processing firewood and bringing firewood to the site. At 10 o'clock on Sunday morning, they had a wood splitter going for 4 hours.
These are three people that do not live on the property.
He's trying to make as much money out of the property as he can.
Right.
He doesn't care.
Okay then. Thank you so much for that clarification.
Okay.
I've also got Councillor Jovic is asking a question.
Yeah, I've asked a question, don't I?
Yep.
I can't make a statement.
No, only a question.
Okay. Yeah, I can't. I need a more ask a question of this, of the process of rather than yourself, because I'm actually understand the pains through some of our work, so I'll have to refrain.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Holmes.
Thank you, Your Worship. So thank you both for coming in, and I understand your concerns. So the question I've got is, because I haven't seen the paperwork, so are you saying that this has been investigated by council already, and the outcome you've received and you're not satisfied with? Is that what effectively?
That is correct, yes, but we sent them, we had a meeting with Kate Biddlecombe and Jared Martin from the RMA team. They asked us in the first meeting that we met with them to fill out paperwork to, like, dates and times of, comings and goings. We went one step further and videoed and recorded, which were timed and dated, sort of thing. We presented them with these 2 USB sticks, which has got 100+ videos in them.
Can I just ask another question, if I may, Your Worship? So just a timeline on that. When did that, in terms of the staff, the RMA team?
The initial complaint over 18 months ago, sort of thing. We got ignored by council. Said no, there's no breaches. They'd never paid any site visits. They basically just no, sort of thing. It wasn't until Jared Martin took over the position. He said, "Well, you've already met with." I said, "We've never had a meeting with anybody ever." And he kind of, sort of. And then we had a meeting with Jared Martin and Kate Biddlecombe from the RMA team, and they gave us paperwork to fill out, and they said, "I'll come back in 2 weeks if it's increased," sort of thing. We came back with our paperwork and the USB sticks, and they kind of, yep, there's something going on here, sort of thing. They've paid a site visit to a guy who lives next door, and they basically said they were going off their R13, which is a commercial service, but there have been breaches of...
So sorry, I will finish, Your Worship. So you think they're in breach of that?
They've even admitted
okay,
in the
and
council,
and in your view, we've been very unresponsive in talking to you about this. Now, final thing for me, and I will leave this, is are other neighbours similarly affected by this, or is it just yourselves?
We are the closest neighbours. It is rural, like large lot, so that we are on the fence line with these people.
Right, okay, all right, thank you.
Councillor Yovich has got a question now.
Yeah, figured it out. Having read some of the documents on this in terms of permitted use, noise, do you think that the current bylaw policy is appropriate for this day and age?
No.
Can I? Yeah. With populations growing, you're pushing out into the rural areas, and we actually looked around at all the other councils around New Zealand, and on their large allotment regulations, they have up to 5 pages. You have 1 paragraph on large allotment. So it's inadequate. They give a lot more detail what you can and can't do. So we've got properties, people's moving out, and also with the economic times, people are starting to work from home more, so they don't have to lease a building in town. So these situations are happening all over the place. There is a couple more situations along Vinegar Hill Road. I run 2 businesses in Whangarei, and they're having very similar problems further along Vinegar Hill Road, exactly the same situation, and the council's not doing anything about it. So,
Can I? Sorry.
Yeah.
This is their large lot R13, which is a commercial service. This is what they were basing their findings on. In section H, it says it does not involve, in addition to the principal operator, more than 2 other persons engaged in providing the activity. In the council outcome, this is the outcome from the RMA team, on 1st of July, so they paid a visit to the owner of the business on site, and he told them that there are 4 people employed in not by his business, himself and 3 employees. But it says here you can have 1 principal operator and 2 other persons. And then they've said here, council advised Mr. Fromont that now he has 3 staff employees, a resource consent may be needed. breach right here.
Okay.
There's no may. It is, you know, that's your breach. That's one breach, sort of thing. And they've put him as a main employee, but on the 1st of May, they said, oh, they they spoke to him, and they've got him as the main business owner. He's not the business owner. He is an employee. His girlfriend is the principal director of the company. It's a registered company. She is the registered thing. He is an employee of the company. So he's an employee, and he's saying there's himself and 3 other employees. So that makes 4 employees. So that's what they're basing their, I mean, that's a breach. It should automatically, you may need resource, you need resource consent.
Okay. Now, appreciate your explanation. Councillor Peters, you got another question?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear of your disturbed sleep and disturbed use of your property. Are you aware that the Ombudsman, it costs no money to go to the Ombudsman? It's funny because
We put an application into the Ombudsman because we went up one more notch from the RMA team because I got sick of being firewalled. And I asked him a simple question about the employees. I said, can you answer this question? I'm not answering your questions.
We don't
If you
answer
don't like it,
questions.
go to the Ombudsman. That was the reply I got from your council, which I found completely unacceptable.
Yeah, we're trying to deal with it, us to council.
Yep.
This has been a long, drawn-out process, 18 plus months. It's cost the council time, money to process it all. Quite simply, one breach and an abatement order should be put in place. I can show you here, Auckland City Council, exactly the same situation. They put a order against this company here. He ignored it, and they fined him $46,000.
It's exactly the same thing.
Same situation in Pakuranga in Auckland.
I mean, like their commercial service, you based your findings on.
Yep.
It says here that cannot operate for clients' deliveries from the hours of 6 a.m. until 10 p.m. But as I said to Kate Biddlecombe, I said, how come if he can take his diggers from his property to the property next door, but he can't start till 7:30 in the morning due to the noise factor, he can start right next door to us at 6 a.m.
And go through till 10
and
o'clock.
go through to 10 p.m. I mean, it's a residential area. It's not a commercial area, sort of thing. And we're talking multiple trucks. I mean, there are times when he's had 3 to 4 trucks, like big trucks.
Look, we appreciate you coming in. Thank you very much. Councillors, are there any more questions? No. Samantha, look, and sorry, I missed your name to start with.
John Jones.
John. Okay, Samantha and John, look, we appreciate you coming in. What we're going to do is we're going to investigate and come back to you with an answer for you. So in the next, before the next council meeting, you'll actually have a response from council on those things, okay? That's what council will be able to do from that.
Okay, we're just asking for help.
Yep.
That's all we're asking.
So we have put it in the hands of the Ombudsman, and I'll take it to the Environment Court if I have to, because I think it's not on.
No, we appreciate your time coming in. It's actually vitally important that you've had your say. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councillors, we're now going to move on to item 6.1, which is on page 9, which is the minutes of the previous meeting. Do I have a mover for those? Including the confidential, Councillor Peters, Councillor Mackenzie. Any discussion on that? All those in favour? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, councillors. We'll now move on to item 6.2 on page 21, which is the minutes of the 28th of August. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Peters, Councillor Reid. Any discussion? All those in favour?
Excuse me.
Oh, Councillor Jovich.
Just some questions.
Yep.
I just note that the period of closure is 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. And in relation to the road closure, it's from Bocky Boo right through to the end of...
Sorry, councillor, we're still on the confirmation of previous minutes.
Oh,
Haven't quite got to the next item.
Apologies.
Yep. No. All those in favour? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, councillors. Now we'll move on to item 7.1. Do I have a mover for item 7.1? Councillor Harding, Councillor Peters. Councillor Harding, could you read that out, please? For the purpose of the people in the online and
Thank you, Te
Watching.
Koramatua. The recommendation, whakataunga, is that the council, number one, approves the temporary closure of the following roads to ordinary traffic for the blessing and opening of a whare event on the following date in accordance with section 3421B and Schedule 10, Clause 11 of the Local Government Act 1974, Friday the 25th of October 2024, Cameron Street, from corner of John Street and Cameron Street to James Street. James Street from Cameron Street to Robert Street, period of closure 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. Number two, approves the temporary closure of the side roads off the roads to be closed for up to 100 metres from the intersection for safety purposes. Delegates to the Chair of Infrastructure Committee and General Manager Infrastructure the power to give public notice of these proposed temporary closures. To consider any objections and to either approve, cancel or amend any or all the temporary road closures if applicable.
while you take your breath, would you like to speak to it?
I just want to acknowledge the work of Te Hao Whiwhiu or Whangarei Trust. They have been working within Whangarei and the CBD and wider Whangarei areas for, I don't know, maybe over 20 years. And it's great to see the collaborativeness of providing a dedicated health, social wellness centre that's coming into Whangarei. I understand that the 4 o'clock a.m. start is obviously because sometimes these are in relation to the blessings at dawn, and hopefully that part will be clear enough before much of the public comes in and uses that area. E mihi ana, kia ora.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Harding. Councillor Jovich.
Get my timing right. Acknowledge the work that the Kaipos have done in the Whangarei region. Question comes back to, with the period of closure, 4 a.m. till 10 a.m., the extent of, or have we inquired with all the property owners or the businesses from effectively Boki Boo right along to the end of the street? That's my first question.
Yep, through to the team here.
So I received confirmation from the organisers of the event earlier this week that they had been around to all the businesses affected and did a letter drop as well as talk to the businesses affected about the road closure, as well as using the opportunity to greet their neighbours. So I did receive confirmation of that earlier this week. I'm happy to follow up again if required.
Councillor Jovich, another question?
Which page was that in terms of detail?
Oh, I think that it's not on the agenda. That's something that the team have just received. That's what they just stated.
I just show me, don't tell me.
Okay.
So we can't receive that information as being correct.
Can you, you've got that information in an email form or in paper form?
I've got it in an email form and it's in Kete, so I can grab it out.
Okay.
Why I ask is that actually I had a similar email that came through to me about you wanting to use a neighbouring car park, and the question was, can we use that as a area to lay down the festivities afterwards? Then I read the closure, and I went back to them and said, well, hey, we have to check with Mary Landcourt and my other tenants in terms of the car parks. Subsequent to that, extra information has come up in this agenda item that we have a road closure from Boki Boo right through. Now, I've got other tenants there. I've got the post office, and they will be having access from that early in the morning. So I'm not happy with it as being a landlord, and I have actually gone back to the Kaipos and said that I haven't confirmed approval as a landlord. So given for the access to the site, and I'm just wondering whether there is some movement in that space, because where their tenancy finishes is or starts, is right beside the old car park building, and why it couldn't be from there onwards. The other concerns is down the track is the amount of people that will be utilising this. It's going to be interesting around the car parking side of it. So again, there, as it is, as much as what the Kaipos are proposing to do, and that I won't be agreeing to this.
Can you just clarify for the purpose of the team here, if what's the next phase and next steps on that? So that if there is a concern from a landlord or a tenant, what is the next process?
So anyone's welcome to put in a formal objection to the road closure, and then that will be, if we receive a formal objection after the council meeting, then that will be considered by the Chair of Infrastructure and the Committee Chair of Infrastructure, and they will consider that in terms of the road closure and whether or not the road closure can still go ahead or needs to be amended.
Okay. Councillor Peters, you got...
Yes, yeah, I also want to congratulate Martin and Janine. They've been running under Whangarei Trust for 35, 40 years and expanded into Te Haua Fuel and taken over the health centre in 2001 when we launched it. I was involved in developing it in its first years and then on their board for, well, I don't know, must have been 15 years. So I really think that they do a good job for people, and I wish them well in what they're doing, and I hope this issue that Councillor Jovic is talking about can be addressed.
When the team, if there is any further issues that you've highlighted what the process is there any movement or discussions with the Kaipos in relation to what some of the concerns being raised here?
This is the first I've heard about the concerns, so I'm going to need some time to look into them and talk to the event organisers and follow up with Councillor Jovic as well.
Okay, appreciate that, thank you. Councillors, Councillor Harding, would you like your right of reply?
Yes, thank you, e te koro matua. I think at a time where it's really difficult for whānau to get GP appointments, to address their immediate health concerns, I feel like Te Haua Fuel are providing solutions to those, bringing it central. People can catch buses into town. There won't be a need for car parking, so I fully support this kaupapa. It is a one-only event for them to be able to bless their whare and provide the spiritual, the wairua to be incorporated, integrated into that building, so the well-being can continue to the people. Kia ora.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Harding. The right of reply has been had. All those in favour? Any opposed? Would you like that recorded, Councillor Jovic? Okay. And Councillor Reid? I'll abstain. And Councillor Reid will abstain. No other abstentions? Councillor Reid, do you want that recorded as abstaining? Okay. Councillors, that's carried. We're now going to move on to item 7.2, which is temporary road closure of Whangarei Christmas Parade, page 41. Councillor Peters has got her hand up first. Do we have a second? Councillor Reid is seconding that. Councillor Peters, would you like to, can you please read that out for everybody?
That the council approves the proposal to temporarily close the following roads to ordinary traffic for Whangarei Christmas Parade 2024 on the following date in accordance with the Transport Vehicular Traffic Road Closure Regulations 1965, subject to event organisers providing proof of public liability insurance to the Chair of the Infrastructure Committee and the General Manager of Infrastructure by no later date than the 30th of October 2024. Saturday, 30th of November 2024, Alexander Street from the University campus to Rust Ave intersection, period of closure 7:30 a.m. to 12 noon. Rust Ave from Whangarei Intermediate Pedestrian Crossing to Bank Street intersection. Bank Street, from Dent Street roundabout down to Water Street, Vine Street intersection, including Hunt Street and Bank Street intersections. Cameron Street West, from Bank Street intersection to Cameron Street Mall. Period of closure 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Rathbone Street, from Cameron Street West to Lorry Hall Lane, including Butter Factory Lane intersection. Robert Street, from Rathbone Robert Street intersection to Walton Street, includes Rathbone Robert Street intersection, James Robert Street roundabout and John Robert Street roundabout. Period of closure 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. John Street, from John Street Service Lane to Cameron Street East, including John Street Service Lane. Period of closure 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Cameron Street East, from Walton Street to Cameron Street Mall. James Street, from Cameron Street Mall to Dent Street. Period of closure 7:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. 2. Approves the proposal to temporarily close the side roads off the roads to be closed for up to 100 metres from the intersection for safety purposes. 3. Delegates the Chair of Infrastructure Committee and the General Manager of Infrastructure the power to give public notice of those proposed temporary closures, to consider any objections, and to either approve, cancel or amend any or all of the temporary road closures if applicable.
Well done, councillor. I know. Would you like to speak to that now, please?
Thank you. It is a joy to see that we're going to have a Christmas parade, and I am looking forward to the fun and excitement for the children and also the adults.
Thank you, councillor. Lana, I noticed that it does say subject to the proof of public liability insurance. Has that been come through since the time of writing this agenda?
Through the chair, no, I have not received confirmation of public liability insurance by the event organisers yet.
Okay.
Do you want that added in?
No, it's actually says already in there, so it says subject to, so councillor. Councillors, is there anyone else who'd like to speak to it? No?
Yes.
Councillor Hulse.
Your Worship, I do want to speak to it.
Yep.
I feel this is a massive amount of areas to close down. It's basically closing down your CBD for this parade. And it's to go from 7:30 start to midday, that is all morning. It's going to be closed down. Generally, a parade takes half an hour. In the past, it's quite interesting. Last year and the year before, we wanted to have a parade in Waipu, which is 400 metres in a straight line, and we couldn't get a permit. So very interesting that we can close down the middle of CBD, so I won't be supporting this at all.
Thank you, Councillor Hulse. Any other discussions? Any other comments? Councillor, would you like your right of reply?
I hope that the businesses advantage for people walking into the area and shopping, I hope. Councillor Hulse.
Thank you for that, councillor. The right of reply has been had. All those in favour? Aye. Any opposed?
I'll against have a recorded, thanks.
Yep. And councillor Hulse would like that recorded. It's been carried. No abstaining, just to make sure. Okay, Councillor Reid, you're abstaining? Okay, you want that recorded as well? Okay. Okay. Carried, councillors. We're now going to move on to item 7.3, which is on page 51. Which is the dog management policy and dog control bylaw adoption. Councillor Hulse, I see your light is on. No, you're not going to move that. Okay. Do I have a mover or a seconder for this motion? Councillor Peters is going to move it. Councillor Mackenzie, you seconding it? There we go. Councillor Peters, as before, are you able to read that, please?
That council amends the dog management policy as provided in Attachment 1 with effect from the 28th of October 2024. Determines that the proposed dog control bylaw 2024, attached 21, A, is the most appropriate form of bylaw, and B, does not give rise to any implications under and is not inconsistent with the New Zealand Bill of Rights 1990. 3, revokes the dog management bylaw 2013 and makes the dog control bylaw 2024 with effect from the 28th of October 2024, and 4, delegates to the Chief Executive all its responsibilities, duties and powers under the Dog Control Bylaw 2024, except A, the power to set fees, B, the power to make a decision from which a council resolution is required. C, the power to hear and decide on any appeal process. 5, authorises the Chief Executive to make any minor edits or amendments to the dog management policy and the Dog Control Bylaw 2024 to correct any spelling or typographical errors and or to reflect decisions made by the council at this meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Peters. I'll give you a couple of seconds just to have a bit of a rest. Now, would you like to speak to that, please?
This is a policy that has been controversially discussed by us over, I don't know how many meetings, must be quite a few meetings. And I'm aware that we have come to compromises, and I thank the staff for persisting with our debating on it. And I hope that all that dog owners, and I know all of them won't be satisfied with this, will benefit in some way from it, and that the general public will benefit from some of the constraints that we have put on dogs that are dangerous to our children and humans. So, yeah, thank you again.
Councillor Reid.
Thank you, Your Worship. I cannot support this simply because I feel, not personally, but as a public figure, that I need to reinforce the ratepayers who have stated clearly that they do not want dogs in the CBD. So for that reason and that reason only, I will have to vote against it. My apologies in advance.
That's okay, Councillor Reid. Councillor Holmes.
Your Worship, thank you. So I do support this. I just want to again thank the team. It has been a long and convoluted and somewhat contentious process, and certainly my inbox has been pretty overflowing with issues around this. And I think as a piece of consultation, it's been pretty effective. The original draft laws bylaws that came, we have changed, we have amended, we've taken on board a lot of the concerns that our residents have raised. We're never going to please everybody all the time, but I think this is a good and effective compromise. So a good piece of work. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Holmes. Well, with this bylaw and the changes that we've been putting there, one of the changes that has been highlighted by Councillor Reid is about dogs within the CBD. What penalties will be issued, or who will be issuing those penalties if something is actually becomes amiss from the actual rules that are stated? Because at the present moment, I believe it is stated as dogs on leads only.
Through the chair, yes, that is correct. Dogs will be required to be under control on a leash at all times in the city centre. Under the law, under the Dog Control Act, anyone who fails to comply with that rule would face a penalty. The exact monetary figure I cannot tell you off the top of my head, but they will be enforceable by warranted animal control officers.
what is the next time to review this if there is an issue that comes about from excessive problems within the CBD or excessive problems within a certain area?
Yes, the next review date for this bylaw, scheduled review date, would be April 2029. Of course, assuming some capacity was available, it could be reviewed earlier. Aspects of it could be reviewed earlier. That would be the policy itself rather than the bylaw. The policy is where the dog access rules sit. And any amendment to those would require notification to all registered dog owners in the district.
Councillors, is there any other discussion? No other discussion or questions? Councillor Peters, would you like your right of reply?
I hope that the City Safe people support the dog control people in gathering information, especially in that CBD area, as to satisfaction or dissatisfaction with this bylaw in that area, so that we can do as Koromata suggests and be up to date with any bouquets or critiques of what's been done. Thank you.
Right of reply has been had. Thank you, Will. All those in favour? Any opposed? I've got Councillor Jovic, Councillor Reid and Councillor Hulse. Do you want that recorded, councillors? Any abstaining? No abstaining. Is carried. Thank you, councillors. We'll now move on to item 7.4, which is on page 87. This is Te Herenga Te Tautakarau Northland Economic Wellbeing Pathway. Councillor Harding, you'd like to move this. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Peters, you've got the hand up again. There we are. Councillor Harding, would you like to read that, please?
Thank you, Te Koromatua. The recommendation whakataunga is that Council number 1 receives Te Herenga Te Tautakarau Northern Economic Wellbeing Pathway. Number 2 endorses Te Herenga Te Tautakarau Economic Wellbeing Pathway as an important vision document for Northern. Kia ora.
And would you like to speak to it, councillor?
Ngā mihi anō. I think we have we've had this kaupapa come to council quite a few times, and as I understand it, it is a visionary document for us to incorporate and take into consideration. I hope that it integrates, builds into much of the work that the future development strategy has been taken on board, and it is an economic development strategy that I guess, you know, we have the current government advising around what kind of pūtea comes to our region if we are a lot more collaborative, hence Whangarei District Council participating. And so, I think that it's great to have this document finally come to us in its current form and is something that we can utilise in the future. Kia ora.
Thank you, Councillor Harding. Councillor Peters.
I think this is a really important document, and it's coming aligned with us actually becoming more involved in Northland Inc., which is a good thing. And I just want to observe that Whangarei and Northland actually has a lot of micro businesses, and that means 1 and 2 person businesses, and hopefully this document as it stands can be used, as Councillor Harding has mentioned, to look for money from central government, but it can be used to support those micro businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. It is to point out this is a document for Northern Inc. and for their processes of the way they do things. We're just endorsing it as a document, a vision document. I also note, and councillors may have noted on it, there is a lot of graphics on it. It's been highlighted to me that those graphics were done by AI as future representations, so well done on the team for putting that together. Councillor Jovic.
No issues with the document. Just the question around the Tai Tokerau, is there any, and educate me on my ignorance, I suppose, is there, with the Tai Tokerau, it does tend to take in the Auckland region in certain communications. So that's just seeking clarity around that in terms of, you know, everyone understands that Tai Tokerau is Northland, but I understand it has now been, it is extended in Te Tai Tokerau, and you look at some of the documentation. So we're just seeking just clarification on that it is purely just Northland and it isn't going in, because Auckland is captured into that region.
I can probably explain a little bit more on that, Councillor Jovic, and that is presently, from a political point of view, Te Tai Tokerau goes into the middle of Auckland, and that's the Māori ward for central government, Te Tai Tokerau ward. I know there's many Aucklanders who would not classify themselves as part of Te Tai Tokerau, even though they live in that area, and there's a lot of Northlanders who would not classify themselves as Aucklanders. So it is one of those things which I think is going to be an ongoing discussion over where the boundaries lay, but most people in Northland understand Northland to be from Ross Road north. That's not necessarily the case, though, in everyone's interpretation. This document here is solely in relation to the boundaries of the Northland Regional Council, which is technically from Ross Road north. Councillor Hulse.
Yeah, Your Worship, we are where we are with this document, and obviously there's been a lot of work gone into it. The highlighting thing that I want to highlight, though, this actually started off 4 years ago, and we had a total different political climate in Northland. All our mayors have changed, all our regional council chairs changed, and there could be some competing views now compared to what this document actually encapsulates. So I suggested it be a fluid document, and some changes may be required in the next few months. And now that Your Worship and I are the representatives of our council on this committee, we'll be seeing where we can make changes where possible. Thank you.
And yes, thank you for highlighting that, Councillor Hulse. Yes, by all means, this is a fluid document, and I have been reassured that by the Northland Inc. team that this is a fluid document. This is solely a very high-level visionary document, that's all. With that being said, any other discussion? No other discussion? Councillor Harding, would you like your right of reply?
Ahuri, thank you.
Okay, right of reply has been had. All those in favour? Any opposed? Any abstaining? No abstaining. Excellent. It's been carried. And thank you, Councillor Cooper, for coming back in line again. Our next item is on page 119 at 7.5. I will move that because there is a slight correction to be made. And I will just have to read it out so that everyone knows. I'm going to read it first so everyone knows what the slight change is. Okay, so let me just read it first. That Council 1, note the report and approve the following legislative amendments to its standing orders that were adopted by the Council on the 15th of December 2022. And it's 1, 13.8, members' status quorum. Members who attend meetings by electronic link will be counted as present for the purpose of a quorum. Clause 25A4 of Schedule 7 of Local Government Act 2002. 2, definition, delete the definition present at the meeting meeting to constitute a quorum, page 14. 3, 11.1 council meetings, page 32. The quorum for a meeting for a council is A, half of the members present, physically has been taken out, where the number of members including vacancies is even. B, a majority of the members physically is taken out, present, where the number of members including vacancies is odd. 4, 13.9, members' status voting, page 36, 13.9, where a meeting has a quorum determined by the number, slashed out physical, present, the members attending by electronic link can vote on any matters raised at this meeting, or at the meeting. 2, approve the following discretionary items, discretionary amendments to its standing orders to be taken in parts. 4, 13.1, members' right to attend meetings, public excluded. Members physically present at the meeting should remain in the room during public excluded business unless granted leave from the chair or are leaving the room having declared a conflict of interest. No, it's actually 6, sorry, 5 and 6. 13.7, right to attend via audio or audiovisual link. Page 35, members attending via audio or audiovisual link must display on screen. 7, 13.13, chairperson may terminate link, page 37. And then we have E, which is... One second, I'm just going to read this properly. E, information classified as confidential may be compromised. See also section 13.16. And F, the member is not displayed on the screen. And go back to... These are the changes. Yes, that's correct. The 2 changes in there, or 1 change in there, should I say. 8, 14.2, chairperson's role is in meetings, other meetings, page 38. The chairperson may agree to vacate the chair to enable the deputy chairperson to chair the meeting at pre-agreed times. Where this occurs, the chairperson will need to formally vacate the chair at the start of each meeting that it is pre-agreed the deputy chair will chair. And this must be recorded in the minutes of that meeting. The chairperson is then able to be present and participate in the meeting, including voting, while not chairing the meeting. 3, note Standing Order 2011, use of digital devices in meetings. 20.11, electronic devices in meetings, page 47. Members' use of digital devices is limited to the sole purpose of accessing notes and agendas. Councillor Hulse, were you still prepared to second that? Yes. Yep, okay. Councillors, I just wanted to make sure I included that one section in there solely because of the fact that the change had been made by the discussions that had gone through the councillors, yet it hadn't actually been written in the agenda, so I need to make sure it was actually written in the the agenda item there and highlighted there as part of the change that was done. Councillors, as I said, this is really just tidying up our procedures to make sure audio links are done properly and the process of the audio links are covered. Making sure people are visible and attentive and also then allowing the opportunity. So, for example, if there is a link where the reliable the link is not secure and not able to be secured, the termination of that link can be done. Again, just for allowing for that consistency within our meetings to make sure everyone is adhering to them. And the last change on there, just highlighting, was just electronic devices. There was several concerns amongst council members to make sure that the devices that we have, and we are moving into an electronic world now, and we need to make sure that they are used for the purposes that we have them here for, which is to be focused for the council meeting that we're in talking about. So, council, those are the changes, those are the reasons for the changes, and again, these are things that have been discussed amongst the councillors many times, and as we've gone through. Councillor Harding, you'd like to speak to it?
Yeah, sorry, thank you. Can I just get can I just hear your changes, please?
So if you look on page 161 of the agenda, you'll see them both highlighted there. So at the moment, in the actual,
sorry, just what you changed in the recommendation.
And I'm just telling you where that is. On page 161 of the agenda, the 2 highlighted there, which is 13.3, which is chairperson may terminate link, and it's E and F were added. So beforehand it was just F, so it's E and F.
Okay, that's just, we do that already.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's
Was that the only one?
That was the only one.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Councillor Peters, you've got your light on?
Yeah, yes, I just got a, on, what's that called? 2.9. In the case where the chairperson is not available to vacate this, you haven't allowed for that. Say the chairperson is caught in traffic, phones out, we need to start a meeting. So what happens? That doesn't allow for that. No, it doesn't, because he has to vacate, according to this, the chairperson themselves has to vacate the seat or agree to vacate the seat, but in fact, they're not available to do so, so the meeting cannot proceed.
I think we'll just get clarification
Am I
from
getting,
Caroline
am I
on that one.
splitting
Yeah,
hairs?
make sure we get Carol on this one, so make sure.
Standing orders are quite clear in that if the chair is not available, it defaults to the deputy chair. If the deputy chair is not available, then the meeting elect one of their own.
So is that, when you look at V111, does that actually say exactly what you've said or not? It seems a little longer and not actually saying what you said.
That's additional.
If you go to standing orders, that section, I'll just pull up the page.
So doesn't this override standing orders, because it's something that we're
This is part
resolving?
of standing orders. If you look at 14.2 there on standing orders, which is on page 162, it deals with all of that.
So section 14.2 makes it clear that the chairperson must preside unless they vacate. If the chairperson is absent from a meeting or vacates the chair, the deputy chairperson, if any, will fill in. And if the deputy chairperson is absent or has not been appointed, the committee members who are present must appoint their own. And then it also includes the new provision, which is basically to say that the chairperson may agree to vacate the chair to enable the deputy chairperson to chair the meeting at pre-agreed times. It doesn't, it's in addition to, or it makes it clear.
And it's also, just to highlight it, it does also refer it to in the Local Government Act as well. And of course, that actually takes precedence over everything. So it's actually clearly stated in there. This is more, our standing orders are more clarifications over what the Act actually says. So it's, yeah. We can't contradict what the Act actually says. Councillor Benny.
Yeah, just a question on number 2.6, right to attend audio or audio-visual link. Members must display on screen. I'm just wanting some clarification on what must display on screen means. Does that mean how I am now? Or, so, for instance, our chief executive who is displaying on screen but not live? I don't think that's clear enough. So I'm just seeking some clarification on that.
Yeah, we did actually get a legal opinion on that to make sure it was very, very clear. Must be present on screen is actually as you are at the present moment, where you are visible on the screen, because if we don't see you visible, then the link can be terminated because we cannot see that you're actually in the room or that the fact that you are actually attending. So in our CE's case, he is attending the meeting, however, he may not be actually present in that meeting at the time, whereas you are actually present there because you are visible. So that is the purpose of that. And we did get a legal and the thumbs up from the CE at the present moment there. Carolyn, is there anything else you want to add to that? Because I know you got legal requirements on that one.
Nothing more to add, just to say that it's much easier if you are displaying like you are now. It shows that you are participating in the meeting, whereas if you're displaying like Simon, it's hard to see whether you're actually, or it's not real, true participation, I don't believe, but that's just a personal opinion.
But yeah, and I understand the reasoning around it, but it doesn't take into account, like yesterday, I had some technical issues where I could not display. So all of a sudden I wouldn't be able to attend the meeting, which I think is wrong.
Your picture.
Councillor?
Sorry?
Sorry.
So yeah, so I just, the fact that if there is technical issues or other issues, that you would not be allowed to attend the meeting. I don't, for instance, the chief executive now is having technical issues supposedly. That's what he said yesterday. I'm not discounting it. So yeah, yep.
Yeah, and you make a good point there, councillor. Again, what we tried to achieve was we got to make sure it was legally binding as well, as is physically present, and because we're allowing people to be via Teams, so we couldn't use the word physical. So it was actually to say that you are visually present is the only term which closely represented to what you are at the present moment. In the case of the CE, he is not visually present. Yep, Carolyn has got something else to add to that.
My thoughts there are too, you should take a pragmatic approach and a message to the chair or to the person sitting next to the chair saying you're having technical issues and can't display, and I'm sure that the chairperson would take that into account.
I've got Councillor Hulse, you're next.
Thank you, Your Worship. First of all, thank you to our Meeting Services Officer, Carolyn, for the work she's done. This actually raised its head about 6 months ago when Councillor Cooper was not able to chair a meeting and Councillor Mackenzie was designated to chair the meeting. We had a bit of a conflab about that, and we thought, Carolyn and I thought it was about time we updated the standing orders. So this is really modern, so it's like updating your constitution every now and again. But we felt it's really the best time to do a constitutional change or a standing orders change is mid-term, because we know what we've been doing this term, whereas opposed standing orders is adopted generally your first meeting after the elections, where the new people don't realise what it's all about, etc., etc. So I support changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hulse. Councillor Mackenzie.
A clarification question. If the chair stands aside and a deputy takes over chairing the meeting, who has the casting vote?
In accordance with, I believe, the Local Government Act and standing orders, I believe the casting vote is only supposed to be for the chair. Carolyn, you can just double check me on this.
The person in the chair has the casting vote. They have all the rights that a chairperson has.
Just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Councillor Cooper.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Couple of questions. Firstly, going back to Councillor Benny's question about displaying your real-time person, I think is a word for it, versus the static display that our Chief Executive is displaying at the moment. Is this consistent for all people in the meeting, i.e. staff as well, or is this just for elected members?
This is the standing orders apply for the elected members.
Okay, fair enough. I think personally that's something that needs to be scrutinised. You either have one rule for everybody attending the meeting, or you don't. So
I appreciate that, Councillor. I just need to clarify that because the staff don't vote on agendas. The elected members are the one who vote on agendas.
No, they don't. But I believe one of the background reasons for the real-time display is to ensure during confidential meetings that nobody else is listening. For instance, if we were in a confidential meeting, we looked at Councillor Golightly, we can see that there is nobody there. Of course, there could be someone this way. So is that a real reason? Is that one of the reasons why this is being adopted?
I'll move to Dom on this one because he's actually got it.
Because for me, it's a question of trusting it's a question of ethics for the actual members. It's about trusting the members.
So, through Chair, just to note, standing orders are the guiding rules for councillors. You will have a chief executive or a general manager in the role, and they will be able to apply the same discretion to staff through that process. So, standing orders are your rules of how you run your meeting, however, and that's why they are direct to council. It doesn't mean that the general manager or the CE couldn't require the same as staff in any given meeting. And just to note that Simon's camera driver is actually broken for him today.
Yes, no, it's unfortunate with cameras, but I'm sure we would be seeing him, and I'm not by any means casting aspersions on the Chief Executive. I'm just really raising the point that if it's about trusting that the members are in a confidential area, then I think we can trust members to do that. If we can't trust members, then we've got wider issues in whether or not we can see them on the screen. And so for me, it's if we're clear about that, it's taking part to be seen to be engaging in the meeting is a red herring to me. I think it's really about the trusting because, let's face it, if we take an example from in this chamber, I will often sit back and look completely disengaged, but we all know that I am really very engaged. So you cannot judge something on just because you can see them. So I guess I'm saying that worries me because for me it's an erosion of trust. So I raise that and it can land where it lands. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Councillor Peters.
I might have been derailed by what Councillor Cooper's just said, but I acknowledged during a confidential part of the meeting that people's faces should be there, but also probably that they should have headphones on. You haven't got that in here, so would you consider that? That's the first thing.
I'm just going to check with Carolyn because I know she did look up this, and I know she did work out how to actually word that correctly. So I'm sorry, I'm going to have to refer to Carolyn on that. Can we, Carolyn's saying, without having a deeper dive in it, can we come back to you on that one? And as it might be a future change to be put in there, and it might be a slight tweaking of the word, just to make sure it's clarifying quite clearly, okay?
My next question is also rather esoteric. So this is about counting attendance. So if you're there without your real face, are you not attending? So you may have some problems with your connection, but are you attending when you have your real face and not attending when you don't, when you have your picture? And or is that at the discretion of the chair? Because I sort of get the feeling that there's some discretion in the chair in this.
There is some discretion on the chair, and you're absolutely correct. As this meeting is live streamed, we try to make sure that every councillor is actually visible and actually seen, actively involved.
Yeah.
Hence the reason that why we're asking for that change to be put in there to make sure they're visually present, as versus just in a picture on the screen. I do believe there will be some discretion over to the chair who is chairing the meetings. This is more about making sure we have consistency across the whole board. And again, this is about elected members, not about staff, to make sure that there is some consistency in there. Okay, thank you for the question though. Good questions. Councillor Reid.
Thank you, Your Worship. Personally, I welcome this item to our agenda, and for me it's about due and proper process, and unlike some of my fellow councillors, I have trouble splitting hairs, and just to add to that, occasionally our deputies may be a more attractive proposition to the meeting than the chair, and as does their portrait sometimes on the screen appear more attractive than reality. Thank you.
Off the topic there, but thank you, Councillor Reid. Councillor Holmes.
I've got a question, Your Worship,
yes,
if I may. So, looking at item 3, note Standing Order 20.11, use of digital devices at meetings. Is the intent of this this point here that mobile phones and any other digital devices which are not the council-provided laptop should not be allowed in meetings? Is that the intent of this?
Actually, the intent is so that you understand and you make it very, very clear that everything that is transcribed within council meetings can actually be legoiment. So if text messages or any items which are done within the meeting, everything becomes legoimable, and therefore that's the reason why we're reminding councillors once again that the purpose of the digital devices are for the purposes of their agendas.
Okay, I'd like to propose an amendment then, please, if I may. So the amendment is that the recommendations are as currently stated in points 1, 2, without change, but I'd like to propose that item 3 is deleted.
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 Okay. That's actually in contradiction to what we've got. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to.
All right. Can I change
we
it
will be taking it in parts, councillor. So what happens is we take item 1 first, item 2 second, and then item 3 third.
Okay. In which case, can I now speak to this then? Because I've not spoken to it so far.
Oh, sorry. I'm just getting clarification here. That would be a direct negative.
So this was just a note.
Okay.
So he's asking that standing order 20.11 be removed from the standing orders.
Sorry, just for clarification, Carolyn's just reminding, are you asking for the 20.11 to be removed from the standing orders?
So we'll have to play around with the wording. I'm asking for the status quo. So I'm asking for no changes to the use of. So I'm asking for no change.
So there's no need to change that. When it comes to time for voting, that's when the voting is done.
Okay. So can I now speak to this then? If we're not.
Yep.
Yep. So I've not spoken to this previously. So I'm happy with the proposals as far as they stand in terms of the image on screen and so on. I think that makes perfect sense. I'm not happy on point 3 for many reasons. I mean, there are councillors here with young children. There are councillors here with elderly parents. There are councillors here with disabled partners, and there are councillors here with multiple businesses that they're trying to run at the same time as attend these meetings. And I think it's a matter of trust, as far as I can see, that if we don't trust the councillors around the table to use their common sense in terms of the way they use their digital devices, then that's a much more serious issue. So I think this is it's a retrograde step. It smacks of what's going on in our schools at the moment, where children are prevented from using phones. And I think there's some, it's a basic lack of trust of councillors. So I don't support that part of it. And I think also, to pick up your point, Your Worship, about the legoimable, everything is you pick up under a legoimer. We understand that, but that's not what this says. If the issue is that you're concerned that that councillors are not fully cognizant of their responsibilities and what is discoverable and what is not, then I think we should say that. This item 20.11 doesn't say that. Thank you.
Sorry, Councillor, I appreciate the comments here. I'm just double checking. I've got Carolyn whispering something, so just give me 2 seconds here.
So just clarifying, standing order 20.11 is currently in the standing orders. That is the status quo.
Sorry, can you give me the page? So I've just on the same.
You'd like the page number of 20.11? Which is actually page
47 of the document.
And that is on page, we've got it here, page 171 at the bottom.
Okay, so I mean, we'll vote on this as you say, Your Worship, but I'm suggesting that there is no change to 20.11 as it currently stands. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Cool. Councillor McKenzie, actually Councillor Benny was before you. Councillor Benny.
Yeah, just a couple of, just going back a little bit to 13.7. 13.7. It was discussed before that there is discretion from the chair if the member does not display on screen. It doesn't say that. There is no discretion from the chair, and that is quite a clear resolution that members must display on screen. And I think the current status of our chief executive is a really good indication that if the technology was right up to it and we trusted our technology completely, we could go with that. But I struggle with that one. And for the fact yesterday, technical difficulties, I still wanted to participate in the meeting, but under these rules, I would not be allowed to, or quite possibly not be allowed to. The other one is Councillor Holmes's discussion regarding the use of electronic devices. Again, recently I have had an opportunity. I've had to have my phone on for some medical issues. Under these orders, I wouldn't be allowed to answer those or to leave the chambers. I know there is discretion from the, in that case there is, but yeah, I think we're muddying the waters rather than clearing them on those 2 points.
Thank you, Councillor. I just want to highlight again that the last item, the item 3, is actually just noting what is existing in the standing orders. It is not a change to the standing orders, it's noting it. The change was in relation to, make sure I get this right, which was in the item 2. Councillors, again, it's just highlighted there that this is a way that the chairperson can actually see quite clearly who is actually in attendance. While I do admit there, and this is about elected members and elected members only, it's quite clearly stating that it is about making sure that they are visually present, which is the most important aspect of it. Councillor McKenzie.
I think this has already been clarified, but I was just going to ask about whether item 3 is effectively the status quo, so there is no change. So it's just noting. It actually doesn't need to be in there because it doesn't represent any change. It's basically just pointing to a rule that's already in the standing orders. So by that note, I don't see it necessary to be there because otherwise you could point to all of the other rules and note those in the standing orders in the same way.
Cool. Fair point. Councillor Jovic.
The Lagoima, this question around Lagoima and electronic devices and phones, is that council devices and phones in terms of the code? Or
No,
is it
all.
our personal?
All.
Okay, because I do take on, I do note that it's noting it. I do note the concerns and totally in terms of running businesses and that and trying to bring people in here if it's distracting from the meeting. I think, all well and good that it should be knocked on the head. It does have the person use may discretion of the chair, so hopefully that captures it. I wouldn't like us to not be able to use the cell phones because in my situation, it's I'm on 24/7 emergencies sometimes, so and I'd have to excuse myself. In terms of 13.7 and some of the points, just coming back. One of the points around what's the reasoning about changing the voting that members are deleting the physically present and not having present? Because I personally think that actually having everybody on Teams is cool, but it should be that you should actually be physically present as from counting as a vote. So that was just one question on why the change there. And then the other one would be understanding there are technical difficulties, and that maybe for 13.7 we propose an amendment to read that members must display unless technical problems override this.
You got that written down? You're... Are you proposing an amendment there, councillor? I just...
Yes.
Yeah. So you're proposing your amendment to actually be in 13.7 that the members attending via audio-visual link must display on screen unless technical difficulties
exist.
Override this. Override this or exist? Sorry, I'm...
Does happen occur?
Occur.
Yep. Okay. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Roka? And you've spoken to it, so
Yeah, so I'll just come back to the query around why and then further to that is why we're changing it, that people from physically to just present.
Yeah. That is a question I did actually ask the team on that one, and I can actually answer that one. It was the word physically actually refers to someone being in the room, and this for counselling for quorums on meetings. It was actually a change to allow for people from team meetings to be classified as part of that quorum, and it's a bit of a clarification on that. So this is actually definitely gone through the legal team to clarify, because I wanted to make sure that the word physically, because I thought word physically could include someone who was on Teams, however it does not. It needs to be actually present as the words that were there. Carolyn, you got something else to add to that? Sorry, I'm just making sure of that.
So we're currently operating under temporary emergency legislation that allows remote participants to attend electronically and be counted towards a quorum. The temporary legislation expires October this year, so we're now aligning our standing orders with the legislation. That means that anybody who is present is counted towards the quorum, and that includes those attending electronically, not just physically in the room.
I accept that, and then but that's governed by the government in terms of them. I just question why it isn't still physically present.
Yep.
From the government.
So your amendment though is into item 2.
13.7. 6.
Yeah, 2.6, which is 13.7. Councillor, I've got Councillor Connop online.
Thank you. I was just going to first of all ask a question just where we're sitting at the moment with 13.7. Is the highlighted part on page 159, has that been modified?
Sorry, could you say that again? Sorry, Councillor, I missed that.
What is 13.7 referring to currently after Councillor Jovich's change?
So the amendment which has just been read there was that members attend via audio or audio-visual link must display on screen unless technical problems occur.
Okay. I had one query as to that sentence in particular, even just prior. It says members attending by audio or audio-visual link must display on screen. If you're only attending via audio link, that's not audio-visual, and so you can't attend on screen.
You're absolutely right, Councillor. That's a 100% given. I think that's the terminology that was used in the legislation, so we've just copied that terminology.
So why do we need to have it included as, if you have to be on screen, then it's audio-visual, not audio only?
Is the councillor who moved the amendment happy to move the word removes audio, and the seconder happy to accept that?
Members attending via audio-visual link must display on screen unless technical problems occur.
You're happy with that?
Yes.
Yeah, and this moves. I just need to make sure that the rest of the room is happy with that amendment too before we proceed any further. Yep, okay. So that's been, that amendment has been changed.
And a question regarding 20.11, and while we're noting it in here, is this the time to make a change to it? Could it be changed, or is it just left as is? Because there are the concerns that, as other people have raised around health concerns with people around this, that, and the other, maybe instead of having it, maybe it notes that any electronic communications could be legitimate in that.
I think now, Councillor, this is one of the reasons why I really prefer people in the room here to go through these discussions, because it becomes very hard to actually understand what people are referring to. Are you asking that you would like to modify item 20.11?
Is it possible to do that at this stage?
No.
You can give notice of a further amendment. I will point out, though, that you need to make sure your wording is very, very clear and understandable. You can't move an amendment right at the moment because there's already an amendment on the table. However, you can move a further amendment later on.
I'll leave it for now. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Hulse.
Yes, Your Worship, I think we can sidetrack it a little bit here. I said right at the start, this is a mid-term assessment put together by myself and Carolyn Brindle, our probably two most experienced people in this room. It's come about from getting comments from the chairs of committees and from councillors around the table here. And now we're kind of questioning the little stuff. I'd like to think that we as elected members have got a contract to our ratepayers. We are elected in here to do the best job for them. So therefore I rank our council alongside a professional body outside this room. Now, if we went and visited a bank manager or an accountant or a manager of a trucking company, we would not pull out our phone and start talking on it. And we would not expect him to pull out his phone and talk another subject on it while we're having that visit. That's all it is. It's tidying up the behaviour here, and our public deserve to know that we're paying full attention to their requests and what's in our agenda. That's all it is. And so, you know, I'm quite happy with the changes because I've been through it a few times. As our mayor's already stated, Carolyn has been to and got a legal opinion on some of this, and she's provided our agenda item based on legal opinion and feedback from myself as Deputy Mayor for your council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hulse. Councillor, I see you've still got your microphone on. No? Councillor Harding.
Thank you, Te Kora Matua. I just wanted to ask, are these changes, these amends, just for our council, or are they a national approach?
No, these are only for our council. These are standing orders by our council and the procedures that we will follow as elected members. Sorry?
Just to clarify, the changes around the quorum, so in recommendation number 1,
Yes.
they're legislative changes, so we are required to do that. So if you don't adopt them into your standing orders, we'll be guided by the legislation. All of the other changes in 2 and 3 are discretionary changes. So they're your rules of engagement.
Okay.
If you want to adopt them into your standing orders, that's very much up to you.
Okay.
They're your rules that you can decide.
But 3
Thank you.
is no
Thanks for that
change.
Councillor?
Sorry.
Thanks for that clarification.
Councillor? Yeah, Councillor, again, you're not running the meeting. Okay, so and it's not your turn to clarify things. No, you'll be fine. Councillor Holmes.
Just a point of order, if I may, Your Worship, just to respond to Councillor Hulse. In terms of people taking phones in this chamber, I'm not aware of any councillors who have taken calls in my term in 2 years here. If anybody has had to take a call, I think they've notably got up, left the room, taken the call. So I'm not sure, with the greatest respect to Councillor Hulse, what that's all about. That's a new one to me. So I I accept totally his view, his opinion that we're here as representatives of our local community, and they deserve that we give the full attention. But I'm not aware. I don't know where that kind of taking phone calls has come from. It just doesn't happen.
And I appreciate your comment there. And Carolyn has an answer for this as well.
The reason I put it in the report was basically to protect your interests. The public view this meeting online. They see you on your phones and on your devices, and they probably wonder what you're doing. It's more to protect your interests and sort of explain that everything's discoverable. It's public perception. So through this report, it explains to them why you are using your devices.
May I respond to that or not, Your Worship?
Look, as said, Carolyn was just clarifying that. You've already spoken, so unless you've got another question...
No, I don't have a question. No,
okay, then that's fine. Councillor Mackenzie?
Can I signal a further amendment after this one? Thank you.
Yeah, no, he's signalling a further amendment later on, and he's already spoken to the original motion, so he won't be able to.
I didn't speak, I asked a question.
No, I've got you down as actually speaking to the original motion, not to the amendment, but to the original motion. You spoke. We've got 3 people here saying that you spoke.
I asked two clarification questions.
I was busy responding to questions, so Danielle's been recording who's spoken and who hasn't, and she's got you recorded as having spoken and answering questions.
I was asking a question. I asked 2 questions, and the second one was related to whether it was the status quo for 2011.
Councillor, I appreciate your comments there. I have also recorded you down as actually speaking. When you ask a question, I put a mark here to say it's been a question. I've noted it as well. So myself and Danielle have both marked it as that. I'm sorry, Councillor, that is the rules, what it is. The judgment has been made.
Judgment.
Any other questions or comments to the amendment? No, we will now move the amendment. The amendment, as was stated by Councillor Jovich. All those in favour? Yep. Any opposed? Any abstaining? That now becomes a substantial motion. We do take it in parts, that is correct. We take 1, 2 and 3 as in parts. Councillors, I'm now going to move...
Just be clear, we need a 75% majority.
And that has been correct. 75% majority needs to be achieved on each one of the motions. So the first motion is part 1. And for simplicity's sake, we will do a division because it'll make it nice and easy for the team. So this is item 1, that Council 1 note the report, and this is the legislative changes. All those in favour, please raise your right hand.
Councillors Jovich, Rooker, Reid, Peters, Mackenzie, Holmes, Harding, Hulse, Cooper, Golightly, Benny, Connop, His Worship the Mayor. That's unanimous.
Unanimous, brilliant. Item 2 with the change of 13.7, which is in there. All those raise your right hand.
Councillors Jovich, Rooker, Reid, Peters, Mackenzie, Holmes, Harding, Hulse, Cooper, Connop, Golightly, Benny and His Worship the Mayor.
And item 3, please raise your right hand.
Councillors Jovich, Rooker, Reid, Hulse, Golightly, Benny, Connop and His Worship the Mayor.
Those against?
Councillors Peters, Mackenzie, Holmes, Harding and Cooper. We've got 10-4. So we've only got 8, so we need 10. So you haven't reached a consensus.
We've got 2 which aren't here.
You're not voting.
No, but I'm just saying your numbers here, 11.
We need 10.
10, okay.
But it's a noting.
Yep.
So you just didn't note it.
So that we just haven't noted that motion, so it's failed. That's fine. Councillors, we'll now move on to item 8.1. The count on that vote is, I will just make sure of this.
8 for and 5 against.
Okay, so we'll now move on to item 8.1, which is on page 209. Which is the Deloitte's report to the council. I will move that. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Reid will second that. And that is that council note the Deloitte's report to council for the 2024-34 long-term plan. Councillors, again, this is a report which we've received and the information's there. I know all of you have had a chance to read through it and gone through it. The Deloitte's report was rather, in my mind, rather nice towards us, and, you know, it's quite complimentary, actually. So well done to the team on working with Deloitte to be able to come to the audit. So well done to that. That needs to be said. Councillors, any open for discussion? As no discussion has been had, all those in favour? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, councillors. We'll now move on to item 8.2, which is on page 237. The Better Off Funding Portfolio Progress. Do I have a move? Councillor Reid is moving that. Councillor Holmes is seconding that. Councillor Reid, would you like to read that for us?
Recommendation that the Council notes the September 2024 progress report on delivery of the Better Off Funding Portfolio.
You'd like to speak to it?
Pretty self-explanatory, I think, Your Worship. Thank you.
Councillor Harding.
Thanks, Te Koromatua. Just on page 238, I'm not quite sure if I understand this, but there's pūtea taken from the Whangarei District project and redirected into the resilience program. Is that correct? Mihi ana ki a koe, Bernadette.
Kia ora koutou. I'd just like to note that I've got Shelley Wharton, our main lead, joining us online today. So that's correct. Do you want me to help clarify what the movement was for, or do you feel like you're understanding that DIA has requested council to look at considering redirection of funds, and that was a component that was voluntarily put up by council because there's been an anticipated underspend? My understanding of that, it is still to be retained in a resilience program component, so it still meets the original criteria of the project, of the fund. Sorry, Shelley, was there anything extra that you'd like to add on that?
Kia ora, Shelley.
Thank you, through the chair. That's correct, yes. So we do retain the funding within council to be used on a new project called Local Water Done Well. And so that $100,000 can now be used to fund the water services delivery plan or any other project or work relating to local water done well. That was a requirement of the central government to look at opportunities to redirect any unspent funds or uncommitted funds onto waters related projects instead of the ones that were in the original program. And so as Bernadette said, the Whangarei District project was anticipated to come in under budget by $100,000, and so we offered that one up for redirection. Thanks.
Thanks for that clarification. I guess the question is, why was it underspent? Or I just heard you say it was anticipated that there would be an underspend. Is that correct? Is that because, I don't know, the
activities were all undertaken. You know, the Hikarangi Depot project's been huge. It's had, we've had inundated comments from our hapu members around that, you know, how sensitive that kaupapa is. So to see it not fully utilised, I guess, just creates red flags for me.
Through the chair, there were some contingencies that were included in that project, and at the stage where we're at right now, we have committed and got most of the work underway, so we know the cost of a lot of the portions of that work. We were comfortable that we would still be able to complete the work that was planned within the amount of money that was left within the budget, and that we could release that 100,000 without impacting on completing the business case. We were not in a position within the criteria of the fund to use that $100,000 for any further work within the project, like to implement the project. That was purely to establish that business case.
Yeah, I appreciate that, thank you. And so the pūtea now will go towards the water services delivery plan, is that correct? What is that?
Through the chair, yes, that is correct. So under the local water done well legislation, there's a requirement for council to prepare a water services delivery plan, and that has to be done by September next year. In the course of doing that, the council also needs to look at whether it works alongside of other councils within the Northland region, or whether it goes it alone. And I'm sure you're having plenty of those other conversations, particularly with the chief executive, and the context around that is in all of the other council papers that you would have received. Thank you.
Thanks very much, kia ora. Thanks, team. Awesome.
Councillor Benny.
Yes, just a question firstly, in relation to the Whangarei wetland and flood mitigation project, the redirection of that. I just seek reassurance from Shelley that the locals are on board and supportive of this redirection, and that it's not a way of council to funnel off into another project. Just seek confirmation of that.
Through the chair, the scope of the project and the scope of the work remains the same. So what we were required to do was to redirect funding solely towards water projects. So what we've done is we have left the previous iteration, which included some of the sports park work and playground and so on, and we have just clearly separated off the stormwater, wetland and flood mitigation components of that project to satisfy the DIA's requirements. The rest of the project, the sports park and playground, etc., is funded already through the long-term plan, and so the council has the funding available, and so the entire scope of the project still continues.
Cool, and I asked purely, I got a text about 15 minutes ago from a Whangarei local pleading that the 663,000 would not be taken off them. So that's what they believe. So there is some confusion with that. I just want to speak really briefly on it. And I just want to thank Shelley and her team for the delivery of a lot of these projects. These are some really good projects here, really controversial at the time, as our mayor will attest to. But it's really good to see these projects being undertaken, working well together with the hapu, and some really good stuff. The community, the City Safe, Whangarei Heads, and all the other projects, Ruakaka Rec Centre, they were able to get funding that we would not otherwise have had. So really well done to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Benny. Simon, I saw that your hand was up. You wanted to add something else? No, he's gone. Okay.
Thank you. I was just going to add to Shelley's comment that that the two local water done well agenda items over the past 3 months do discuss in reasonable detail the water service delivery plans, and also provide some information in regards to that $100,000 that was being discussed in the chambers. So that would be helpful to to refer back to that. But also, we do have a council briefing coming up on the 8th of October in regards to local water done well, and we will be discussing in reasonable detail the water service delivery plans at that point. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. No other questions or discussions? Councillor Hulse.
Just a change in Ruakaka Rec Centre. It's got the opening ceremony currently scheduled for the last weekend of September. It's now going to be on Saturday, the 5th of October. So that's a confirmed change.
Yep. Good point there, Councillor Hulse. No other questions? All those in favour? Oh, sorry, the right of reply. Councillor Reid, do you want... No, he doesn't want his right of reply. All those in favour? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, councillors. We'll now move on to item 8.3, which is on page 245. This is the update of the government parking and towing penalties. Councillor Reid has definitely got his hand up for this one, and I'll second it. So, Councillor Reid, would you like to read that as well, please?
I think I'll manage that, Your Worship. Yes,
Excellent.
thank you. That the council receives and notes this report.
And you'd like to speak to
it? Yes, actually. I think it's high time that we had this review, and I welcome it wholeheartedly and with open arms. Well, palms out, put it that way. This will help us drive into our own new parking strategy, which we will be seeing very shortly. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councillor. And thank you for highlighting. These are actually from legislation which have actually come through, and they, again, have the control and power to organise the fines, which was quite disappointing for a lot of the council here when we wanted things to be able to put changes on, which is actually one of our remits to Local Government New Zealand, actually, was to be asked to change the fines or have the fines changed for the disabled car parks. And as you can see in the accounts, there's 6.41A, parking in an area restricted for disabled people or persons. It was originally $150, and now, under legislation change, as of the 1st of October 2024, will be $750, which is a very good change on that respect. The one downside, as everyone is well aware, as this has gone through social media quite big, we have no say over what's done on private property. We only can say what's in the public property, which is on the road reserves or owned by council. So those who are in private property where they have got disabled car parks, it is unfortunate, but that is allowed over to them to police that in their way. That's why in some situations people have received higher fines if they've parked in disabled car parks on private property, not on council property. There is quite a few other things in there, such as parking on broken yellow lines, parking on pedestrian crossings, all that sort of stuff. This is actually reinforcing the good behaviours that we should have when we're driving around our district and parking in places that we should park. I'm now going to go to Councillor Peters.
Well, I was just going to say that nobody's going to be parking in those disability parks, are they? Crikey.
Well said. Councillor Harding.
So is there some kind of advocacy plan that will be advised, to the public around these changes?
Yes, there already is an advertising campaign which is going out there. The council have actually had social media advertising on this already. It has been gone quite far and wide. There's also been press releases on this as well. Mayor Mokotopani has also raised it up in his council as well, and raised about the parking fees as well, because this is nationwide, not just Whangarei.
So we're just adopting this, but it's
We're noting it.
We're noting it.
Because central government has done the change.
Central government has changed. Okay.
No other questions or comments? No? Councillor Reid, would you like your right of reply? No, he's had his right of reply. All those in favour? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, councillors. We're now going to move into, I'll move us into confidential. Do I have a second? Councillor Reid will second us. I'll just now move us into, all those in favour? Any opposed? We'll now move into confidential. We'll take a 15-minute break, so we'll be back at 10:54. Sorry, 11:54. No, 10:54. No, I've got it wrong. 11:04. There we go, 11:04. 11:04.